get a load of me.
Right now, a massive thermal shift is happening in the Central Pacific. This map tracks the Niño 3.4 region, the specific area forecasters use to monitor ocean temperatures. And as you can see, it is rapidly turning a deep red as surface heat surges. The sheer speed of this subsurface warming gives climate scientists high confidence that the usual spring forecasting hurdles are gone. We are locked into a trajectory pushing well past the 2°C mark by late 2026. What makes this specific ocean warming event so dangerous is the baseline it's building on. The Earth is already trapped in a multi-year warming streak, pushing global average temperatures higher than any point in recorded human history. Layering a massive Pacific heat dump onto these record-breaking global temperatures transforms a cyclical weather pattern into an immediate planetary destabilization event. At the same time, traditional energy systems are fracturing under physical conflict. With geopolitical clashes closing the Strait of Hormuz, the global transport of volatile hydrocarbons and essential fertilizers has ground to a halt. But there is a second shockwave arriving from the Pacific. The encroaching extreme weather from the Super El Niño poses a direct threat to the exact same supply chains and power grids. Economists are calling this the dual pressure. Nations are watching their fossil fuel reserves dry up due to military blockades, while simultaneously bracing for a meteorological event that will demand vast amounts of power to keep citizens alive. For governments around the world, securing electricity against a collapsing ocean current is now receiving the exact same level of emergency planning as navigating a military blockade. To understand why this requires emergency planning, we have to look at how El Niño actually works. It functions like an enormous pressure release valve, venting millions of degrees of trapped aquatic heat directly into the atmosphere above it. This chart shows the projected temperature anomalies for both water and land. Notice the blue line representing ocean surface temperatures. It spikes steeply as the El Niño develops through late 2026, but the red line for land temperatures doesn't jump immediately. It takes months for oceanic heat to fully distribute. Because of this lag effect, the most brutal heat spikes hit in 2027, breaching climate targets and peaking at 1.62 degrees above pre-industrial levels. The thermal energy currently building in the Pacific acts as a loaded spring. The ocean will hit its maximum temperature this year, but human infrastructure will take the full force of the blow next year. The destruction begins in the water. The warming Pacific shuts down the natural upwelling of cold, nutrient-rich currents, which leads directly to mass coral bleaching events like the ones seen here, stripping entire reef ecosystems of life. Without those deep-sea nutrients, plankton populations plummet. That triggers a starvation collapse straight up the marine food web, wiping out global fishing industries that rely on enormous daily catches of anchovies and other small fish. On land, the massive influx of atmospheric heat splits the jet stream, creating violent, unnatural rainfalls. Communities in places like Peru and the southern United States face severe infrastructure-destroying floods as the sky dumps displaced water. Conversely, regions like Southeast Asia and Australia have all their normal atmospheric moisture stripped away. Vital fresh water vanishes, leaving major agricultural breadbaskets crippled by multi-year droughts. When ocean fisheries fail at the exact same moment that vast swaths of global farmland wither or drown, the globe's supply of food faces an immediate, catastrophic bottleneck. As crop failures spread outside the cities, the urban centers themselves become heat traps. Rising temperatures combined with high moisture create severe wet bulb humidity, pushing the air past the limits of human sweat evaporation and making simply walking outside lethal. To survive, dense urban populations turn to air conditioning en masse. This creates a sudden, skyrocketing surge in electricity consumption just to keep millions of citizens safely cooled. But right as power demand hits its absolute maximum, the El Niño-driven droughts evaporate the massive water reservoirs required to run hydroelectric dams in places like India and Vietnam. Centralized power plants begin to trip offline from water scarcity, while the civilian load pulls harder on the remaining lines. This severe imbalance triggers cascading blackouts. These legacy energy grids, built for predictable water levels and centralized demand, are physically incompatible with the extreme stresses of a super El Niño. In response to these failing grids, governments are prioritizing decentralized energy as a matter of urgent national security. Countries are aggressively accelerating the rollout of localized assets. Massive solar arrays and widespread rooftop panels are being fast-tracked across Asia to absorb the severe spike in daytime electricity demand. To manage the natural fluctuations of wind and solar, governments are pouring capital into utility-scale battery energy storage systems, creating thousands of megawatts of backup reserves to harden the power lines. The 2026 climate crisis brings undeniable devastation to ecosystems and economies. Yet, by exposing the critical weakness of old power structures, it is forcing the rapid construction of a resilient, self-sufficient energy grid